Yeah, Angela Davis was an extremely well-known figure in East Germany. She was put forth by the East German state as a heroine and a kind of righteous fighter against both American-style fascism and American-style racism. She visited East Germany and was feted and met Honecker, the leader of the East German Communist Party, the SED. And when she was in prison, she was the subject of a great number of glowing profiles in the East German press, and was also the subject of a mass letter writing campaign. So young, often children in East Germany, would write letters to Angela Davis while she was in prison, talking about their admiration of her, wishing her good health, hoping that she is liberated soon. And these letters arrived by literally the kind of bagful, the sackful, to Angela Davis in prison. We have photos of her friends kind of dumping out bags of letters for her in prison. And this was actually very moving for Angela Davis herself. I actually saw her speak at a commemoration of 1968 a couple of years ago, and she's out of nowhere kind of singled this out for her as something that she found emotionally affecting when she was in prison, and something that to her suggested, the scope of her own actions, the idea that she wasn't even just doing something that meant something for her community or even her country, but that it was something that was resonating globally. So there was something there that was real, right? There was I think this was one of those few examples in East Germany where the official solidarity kind of met the grassroots solidarity in a way that produced something that felt more genuine than a lot of the kind of more ritualistic expressions of internationalism and anti-racism could feel. But even then, there were some very interesting and telling tensions, right? So when Angela Davis came to East Germany, it was very important for the East German party establishment to describe her as a communist, first and foremost, which she was. She was a member of the Communist Party of the USA. But they were very keen on downplaying the ways that she talked about Blackness and race as also important to her. So her discussions of Black power and the importance of kind of racial consciousness were sort of deliberately excised from the profiles of her and were sort of tactfully silenced by the East German sort of message-creating party establishment. And the reason for this is, quite symptomatic of the challenges that proper anti-racism faced in East Germany, which is really an incapacity to deal with what we would now call intersectionality. So in the East German conception, class and race didn't really work together, or they didn't work to reinforce each other, and they couldn't be tackled simultaneously. Class was always the primary thing to be approached, was the so-called primary contradiction. And everything after that, including significantly race, questions of race and gender, were only secondary. So really what you needed to confront and create was a class politics that was colorblind and gender blind. And after you solve that, then problems of racism and sexism would follow. Homophobia, transphobia, not that those terms were ever raised in the East German context, but this kind of class first policy was exactly why, for example, the East German leader could say there can't be racism in East Germany because it's a communist country and because the class problem has been solved, therefore the race problem has been automatically solved, right? So this is, just clearly wrong, and definitely doesn't reflect, being kind of up to date at all with the way that we know now in the way that class and race work together to produce interlocking forms of oppression, and for the same reason, forms of identification around race and class work in complex ways to try to undo those forms of oppression. That way of thinking was not at all at home in East Germany. So Angela Davis, insofar as she was a hero, could be a communist hero, but she couldn't be someone who also believed in, racial consciousness and racial identity being as important in some ways as class consciousness and class identity. That attempt, for which she is well known, to sort of think through intersectionality was explicitly refused by East Germany.